Hello, Colts Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the No Horsing Around podcast. As always, I am one of two dudes talking Colts. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Burton. And I told you guys last night, I told you earlier this week on the preview show, I told you on another show last night that I was going to be having my buddy, Adam Raymer from Tighten Up Time podcast, as well as the Bama Lounge podcast on at the tail end of this week to kind of go over those last ditch who's in, who's out. I'm going to let him give his prediction, maybe throw out some players that we didn't talk about this week to look out for during the game on Sunday, kind of get his perspective, kind of get the Titans' perspective for the No Horsing Around family. Adam, man, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. We like to come on each other's shows.
Oh, it's always fun, man. It's always fun. So, I mean, I came on yours last night.
Yep.
I did a preview show a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
The No Horsing Around family kind of knows where we sit, but let's go kind of sometimes we do team updates, but let's just go right into who's in, who's out. Obviously today, as the recording of this, it's Friday, so the final injury reports are out outside of like the game time decision players, right?
Right.
So I want you to tell us, because I've got the Colts one up. I didn't necessarily look to see. There's one big one on the Titans that I do know.
Yeah.
But what's the injury report? Because I know on your show we talked last night and y'all are pretty banged up, but I'm interested to see what the final injury report looked like for the Titans.
Yeah, we're really banged up. I mean, we've got I think it's something around 18 people on IR. Obviously, the big one you're talking about is Julio Jones is out Sunday. Big loss, obviously. Me and Steven talked about that today. With when you have AJ Brown and Julio in, you can't really just try to contain AJ Brown. But now, we have Chester Rogers who's gonna play. He was on the injury report, but he's okay. He's gonna play, which he becomes our 2. When in reality, that doesn't really. Not that he's not a good receiver, but he's not Julio Jones. So it's a big deal. I will say a big deal. Taylor Lewan is playing. We were on our third left tackle last week against the Chiefs. And, Taylor Lewan, I don't think has had as good of a season this year as he has in past. He's given up some sacks. He's called himself out. People have called him out. But I think he's going to be okay. He's going to play. Another one, he doesn't get his name called, and we don't use him a ton. It's Blasingame, who's our fullback, and he is actually ruled out as well. He's big in the goal line stance for when Derrick Henry, you're first and goal and you want to pound the rock. He's a great blocker, and he actually runs the ball every now and then. The huge one is Julio Jones for you guys. I don't know what else to say except for it's his name. It's Julio, right? But Rashaan Evans is kind of worrisome for me because he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday, and he was limited today. So, and we're just really banged up in the defensive backs. I mean, Farley's out for the season, which is detrimental. Christian Fulton's out. So we've got young guys that are going to be in the secondary, which worries me with the trend that Carson Wentz is going and how Michael Pittman can catch the ball and make things happen, how Mo Alley Cox for you can do the same thing. It's worrisome for me on the deep ball with us not having as much experience in the secondary as I'd like coming into the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, you hit it on the head. Julio was the big one that I noticed.
Yeah.
Before I get into the ones for the Colts, for all of our Colts Nation too, I do have one other question for you. Jayon Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I know when we spoke last night, he was a limited practice yesterday.
Yes.
How did he look today? Is he one who looks like he's going to be a go on Sunday?
He was a full practice today, but he's still listed as questionable. But you know what that means? If you practice on Friday and you're full, 9 times out of 10 you're going to play. So
yeah, everyone knows my feeling. I talked about it on the preview show. I talked about it when I came on Tighten Up Time yesterday and said, he's kind of a hidden one for me. He always
Yeah.
seems to really show out in these games
Yeah.
against the Colts. So,
Yeah.
okay, so no horse and family. If you've lived under a rock today and you didn't see it, so we're gonna go through a little bit. Ty, he was a full practice today. Bo Pete is the only one that's ruled out, and I don't know about you guys. I don't really know a lot about him, so I'm not hurting on that one. Uh, Xavier Rhodes was a full practice. Naheem was a full practice. Braden Smith was a full practice, you guys. That's huge news. He spoke to the media today, too. Talked about how he had to have surgery on his thumb, the weirdness of the foot injury. We still really don't know what the hell that was. It took him out for like 4 or 5 games. We're still really unsure. Jonathan Taylor, Adam actually asked me about this because he was limited earlier in the week. He got a little dinged up in his ribs, but he said very early on in the week that he was not going to miss any time and he was going to play. Kamoko's back. Rocky Scene's back. Jordan Wilkins makes an appearance for the first time this season, you guys. It's kind of crazy. The two biggest ones on the report for us Colts fans and for Colts Nation is obviously Braden Smith and T.Y. Hilton. They're both going to be game time decisions. As of the recording of this, Zach Kiefer, George Bremer, friends of the show, they both have said that they're probably going to play. Specifically, Braden Smith is probably going to play. Which, fun fact for you, Adam, and fun fact for everybody, is that this will actually be the first time the O-line is fully intact all season. They've not played together until this will be the first time. So that's a cool little fact. So we joked about this. It's probably the healthiest the Colts have ever been all season. They've not. This is the cleanest injury report that we've seen all season from the Colts. So that's who's in, who's out. But I want to do a couple more things with you. This isn't going to be a 7-minute episode, but it's not going to be a 45-minute one. I've listed some players, like on our preview show, I list players that I'm interested to see how they are under the radar players, things like that.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you, some of the Titans players that we may not know, which is hard because nobody knows the Titans better than the Colts most of the time.
Yeah.
But who are some under the radar players that Colts Nation needs to pay attention to for this game?
I think one is David Long Jr. He's a linebacker. He's been playing really, really good football lately with the absence when, Rashawn kind of comes out. I wouldn't say he's playing to the advanced, like Harold Landry's on a different level this year for the Titans. Contract year, just playing lights out. But David Long is probably coming from John Robinson too, is one of the hardest workers on that team. And I think he's one to look out for. Here's the thing on defense. You guys know who our defensive studs are. And I mentioned this earlier. We are so banged up in the secondary, Stephen, that I can't tell you who to look out for. I can't tell you Jackrabbit. Because, it's Janoris Jenkins. He's Janoris Jenkins. If Caleb Farley and Christian Fulton were healthy and they were in, I'd probably throw them in there. But they're not playing. So I think literally the one person on defense is going to be that's not called a lot that you might not know is going to be David Long Jr. On the offensive side of the ball, it's tough because it's we've got Tannehill, we've got AJ and Derrick Henry, of course, but I'm just going to throw a name out there just for shits and grins, and it's Anthony Ferkser, the tight end. And not that he is not going to stretch the field. He's not going to do that. But when we get in the red zone, he's got great hands, big, tall, physical guy. Like I said, not going to stretch the field, not going to kill you with speed. But play action pass on a 1st and goal, where maybe a team is, or you guys or any other team is thinking, Derrick Henry all the way. He might squeak into the back of the end zone and, and catch a ball. So he's good for getting first downs for us. I can't really give you anybody on offense because honestly, you guys know the playmakers on Tennessee. We play you guys twice a year, and it's obviously Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and AJ Brown and Julio when he's healthy. So I'm going to throw Ferkser out there. It's weird, but I am.
I like that. I like it because on your show last night, who I threw out was also a tight end, was Big Mo Alley
Hmm.
Cox.
Yeah.
So it was funny. It was while you were talking. I've given mad props on this show to Harold Landry. He's
Yeah.
having a great year. I didn't realize until you were talking. I looked it up. Pro Football Reference. Shout out to them. I looked it up for them. I didn't realize he has 7.5
He
sacks.
does. I think it's like
So I mean,
13 and a half
he is
tackles for a
playing
loss,
very
too. Yeah.
well.
Yeah. He is playing great. I said it after about game 3 or 4 this year, about halfway through what we've played so far. And I said John Robinson needs to extend his contract. He's earned it so far. Hopefully he can continue that success, obviously. But he's played up to the hype of in his contract year, I think, to give him an extension at least. So yeah, Harold Landry's. I always thought he was going to be good. I can tell you one thing, and I hate saying this: Rashaan Evans, who anybody that doesn't know me, I'm an Alabama guy. I watched him play all throughout Alabama when he was there. The Titans took him in the first round. I was ecstatic. I'm not going to say he hasn't lived up to the hype of a first round pick, but I hate to say that. I don't think they renew him next year. I think with what they have at the linebacker core right now with Landry and Long and, Bud Dupree coming off the outside. And by the way, Bud Dupree is a full practice, so he is playing. He had a little knee injury, but he will be playing. So um, I just don't think – I think Landry is going to fill that void. And they're not going to want to pay Rashaan the money, obviously.
Well, it's funny is that Rashad Evans sounds really similar for Colts wise was Malik Hooker.
Yeah.
Malik Hooker was a first round pick, higher than Evans was.
Yeah.
But just never really clicked. And then they drafted Julian Blackmon. He popped, and that was kind of it. And they didn't sign Malik Hooker to his 5th-year extension. I believe Rashad Evans hasn't had his either.
No.
So I mean, it is what it is. So let's do this because I'm interested now too. Everybody knows my predictions for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we get to that, really quickly, from the we've talked about it from the Colts perspective. I've talked about it till I'm blue in the face. How massive this game is. You see it across the board on NFL Live. You see it on ESPN and Get Up, and all the other shows. This is a huge game.
Very big.
For the Colts. Do the Titans look at it as big? Do they look at it as big as the Colts are approaching this game? Or could this be a potential letdown game for them?
Look, I don't know how the team feels. I know how I feel. I feel like it's a huge game. We go up. If the Titans win this game, we're 6-2. We got a 3-game lead on you guys, and like we've talked about, it's going to be hard for a 3-game. It's going to be hard for you to overcome a 3-game, lead in a division over the Titans because we've got 2 games against the Texans. We've got 2 games against the Jaguars. That automatically gives us 10 wins right there. I don't know how the players feel, but here's the thing: we've just won 2 big games in a row that we weren't picked to win. We weren't picked to beat the Bills. We weren't picked to beat the Chiefs, and we did. So it's hard to sustain, I think, and the whole team to get in the right mindset and to sustain that winning drive into 3 games. I mean, it's just hard, especially against, you can say, 2 of the top teams in the division or in football, really, even with the Bills and the Chiefs. I don't know if we just caught the Chiefs at a bad time, but that defense played great in that game. Same thing against Buffalo. Offense kind of clicked a little bit. So in my eyes, man, it's a huge game. I think it's bigger for you, honestly. And I'm not saying that we're going to come out lackadaisical, the Titans are, and just lay a freaking egg. I hope that doesn't happen. But for you guys, I think it's bigger for you because, again, if we get a 3-game lead in this division, and let's be honest, we've talked about this too. Our division is shit, right? besides the Titans and the Colts, the Texans are the Texans, and even though the Jaguars are kind of trending good, they've got 1 win. So it's going to come down to this, and I don't know, since it's only week 8, we don't know what's going to happen going forward, but this game has major implications on the rest of the season going forward, I think, on who wins, who loses, because I think your game after this is what, the Jaguars, I think. Is that Jets?
Jets on Thursday night.
Oh,
So it's a
well,
short week too
yeah,
for the Colts coming off of this game, but it's
right,
Jets then Jags.
right. So obviously we would say that's a win, right? So if you beat us and then you get that win, we've got the Saints, so that can go either way. So again, I think it's just huge. I think, in my eyes, it's a huge game, but I think it's bigger for you guys than it is for us, because if we do lose, we're still up in the division, right? But we hate losing to the Colts. It's our rival. And look, I'm not a hater. Steven knows me. I don't like getting in pissing matches with everybody or anything like that. Look, if the Colts and the Titans made the playoffs and the Titans got out, I would probably root for the Colts just because they're in our division. I hate saying that, but I think it's bigger for you guys, just because if we win, if the Titans win, it's just going to be really stinking hard to overcome a 3-game lead in a division when both teams are playing good. Now, I will say I'm scared for you. I'm scared Sunday because you guys are so healthy and we're not. And that's not an excuse. That I will not use that as an excuse if you guys beat us. You know what I mean? Like, I am not going to say, oh my God, because we had, 5 starters out. That's not, it's professional football. You get paid to play. So next man up. But that's the one thing, if I'm going to say that I'm worried about with you guys, is that the fact that you are so healthy right now at the right time. And I mean, it's a huge game this weekend, man.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the other part too is that if the Colts don't manage to win this game, I heard it on the radio, I was listening to it today, is that you are down 3 games with only 9 games left. Like, that's the deal too. After this game, there's only 9 games left.
Right.
So with everything that you said, I want to give you the chance. They've heard me. They've heard me on Tighten Up Time. They've heard me on here. They know my prediction. I want to give you a chance to put your prediction out for the show. On the show for the game. So what do you got?
Look, I don't think it's going to be low scoring. I said it last night. I'm going to stick with what I said on my show last night, and I'm just going to say 30-24 Titans. I think, just in my perspective, I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to be ready. And actually, I'm going to go back on that. I'm going to lower it. I'm going to go 27-24 because Julio is not playing. And I think that's going to be that's massive.
It's pretty close to my prediction, just the opposite way.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the end. Like I said, not 45-point scoring, but it's going to be a decent game. I think I think there's going to be some turnovers in the game, on both sides. I just feel like in watching our team, the Titans team, they're on a high right now, and it's the Colts. So I think it's going to continue. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It never is. Well, yeah, it is, because you guys used to kick our ass when Andrew Luck was there. But here recently, it hasn't been as bad. So yeah, I'm going to go 27-24. I went 30-24 on my show last night, but that was before I knew Julio was out. Not that Julio only makes up 3 points, but I'll go 27-24 Titans, close win, and we get a 3-game lead in the division.
Okay. I mean, I've joked with other people. I've joked with we had Jason on and we had Jordan on and Engravens and stuff like that, that I would be almost shocked sometimes if the guest who's from the team that we're playing picked the Colts.
Yeah,
I'm not shocked by it. So here, we're going to kind of wind it down. Like we always say to you guys, please make sure you like, share, follow, comment, all that great stuff. Subscribe, please. That's always great. We're trying to get to 600. If we can get to 600 by kickoff, that would be amazing. We're about 9 short as of the recording of this. Y'all know all those things. Join the family. We say that all the time. But you guys also know here at the end, I like to give a chance for the guests to kind of promote their stuff a little bit. I know it's the Titans. Y'all just bear with it, okay? Don't plug your ears. Don't turn it off. Adam's one of my best friends,
Yeah.
probably is my best friend. So I want to make sure he has a little bit of time here at the end. Adam, tell them where they can find you. And let's not negate, you guys watch the scroll at the bottom. Adam also does an amazing job with the Bama Lounge. He does a Bama podcast. I don't even like Bama, and I listen to it. So, Adam, give them where they can find you at, man.
Yeah, so I find me on Twitter at Adam Raymer11. You can find I just rebooted my Titans pod, so I'm not many episodes in, but it's getting good reaction. And I know I'm on a Colts podcast, but I invite other teams and other people from other divisions and other teams to come on and just listen and send me comments and all that. But yeah, you can find Tighten Up Time Pod on Twitter. Obviously, the Bama Lounge. It's at Bama Lounge on Twitter too. I do 2-3 episodes a week on that. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. I love coming on. We talked about this too. We've done shows together. We do our wrestling pod together. First time was last night that we've really been guests, so to speak, on each other's shows. So it's pretty cool that we can do that now. And I appreciate, especially you, man. You've helped me out so much on this, and I appreciate everybody that's supporting me right now.
I mean, we always try, from the very beginning to now, it's always great. I want to make sure, that's why it's like I make sure that I'm on yours, that you can come on here. We want to spread the word for it. So you guys know how we always end this. I love you. Zach's not here and he loves you. I'm pretty sure Adam loves you. Hey, FYI, Ravens fans, he hates Lamar Jackson. We're out.